Mother separated from her children at birth 10 years later. An incredible truth is revealed. Sarah stood in front of her tiny kitchen window, watching the sun rise over their sleepy Midwestern town. The light poured in like a promise, a reminder that even amid hardship, there was hope. With one hand clutching a chipped coffee mug, she wiped away a stray tear. It had been 10 years since she lost Emma and Lily, 10 years since an overwhelming medical emergency turned her life upside down. The anguish of those first moments being whisked away from the delivery room, her babies taken from her without the chance to say goodbye, haunted her still. Every day reminded her of what could have been. The laughter of children playing in the park outside echoed in her heart, a sharp contrast to the relentless ache of separation. As a single mother juggling 3 jobs, Sarah poured her soul into each task, from serving at the local diner to cleaning offices after hours. Her dedication to bettering their community strengthened her resolve. In the midst of her exhaustion, she found clarity in helping others who faced similar heartbreaks, leaning into her passion for family advocacy. It was in these moments of reaching out that she felt a flicker of purpose, hoping to someday be reunited with her little girls. Just then, Sarah caught sight of her neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, who was struggling to carry groceries up her porch steps. Without hesitation, she dashed out to help, her heart swelling at the thought of brightening someone else's day. "Let me give you a hand with that," she exclaimed, her smile genuine despite the fatigue clinging to her like a shadow. The old woman's gratefulness brought such warmth that it momentarily eclipsed Sarah's own burdens. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As Sarah returned to her home, a sudden vibration from her knapsack shook her from her thoughts. It was a letter, surprisingly from a state agency she didn't recognize. With trembling hands, she opened it. The words danced before her eyes, and her heart raced as she realized what it meant. The letter detailed errors made by the overwhelmed local hospital that had led to Emma and Lily's adoption twins snatched away by an imperfect system. This wasn't just a clerical mistake. This was a lifeline. Dread and hope clashed within her. Would reaching out to them invoke anger, fear, or could this be the piece of the puzzle that reunited their fractured family? Sarah sank onto her couch, heart racing. She could almost hear the whispers of her girls and the laughter they never shared. As Emma and Lily settled into their plush suburban life, they felt the weight of unanswered questions growing heavier, their family's warmth, their adoptive parents' unconditional love, yet something nagged at them dryly. Who were they truly? The twins knew the bond they felt with their parents was strong, yet the whispers of unknown roots tugged at their hearts. The clock ticked away the seconds as Sarah clutched the letter tighter, a resolve building. Could she forgive the very system that had taken them away? Would Emma and Lily accept her as their mother, or would they turn their backs on everything they had known? The path ahead promised tears, but perhaps, just perhaps, healing awaited them at the end. And as Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears, she prepared herself to face the unimaginable, knowing their story was only beginning to unfold. As Sarah sat on the couch, the letter felt heavier than it appeared, weighing down on her heart. Every word pulsed with the possibility of a reunion, but each thought also stung with doubt. Could she really put herself out there after all this time? The risks loomed large, but an even stronger urge pushed her forward. She glanced at the calendar hanging crookedly on her wall, a simple reminder of the days gone by. Each square seemed to mock her with memories of what should have been. The birthdays missed, the milestones not celebrated, and every "I love you" that had been stifled in silence. She couldn't allow that silence to stretch any longer. With a determined breath, Sarah pulled out her phone. She hesitated, staring at it for a long moment. How do you even start a conversation with the children you lost? The thought made her stomach churn. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, uncertain. But before fear could drown her resolve, she remembered the times she had comforted others in her advocacy work. There was honesty in showing vulnerability. "Dear Emma and Lily," she typed hesitantly, "you may not remember me, but I am your mother." She paused, heart pounding fiercely. Could love survive a decade absent? Images of their tiny faces swirled in her mind, illuminating the hopes she had captured so tightly all these years. "I received a letter today that changed everything," she continued. "It opened my heart to the possibility of finding you again." Each of those sentences poured out of her, wrapped in the hope of rekindling what had been so cruelly ripped away. But thoughts of fear seeped back in. What if they didn't want to hear from her? What if they felt whole without her existence in their lives? Closing her eyes, she breathed deeply, steadying herself against the tide of emotions crashing around her. Across town, Emma and Lily were in their cozy suburban home, sprawled in the living room surrounded by books and toys, their lives filled with love, laughter, and the comforting presence of their adoptive parents. Yet that day, as they browsed through old family photo albums, they stumbled upon a picture of two baby girls in the hospital, the only clue to a forgotten past. They studied the images with wonder, feelings of curiosity knitting between them. "What do you think happened to them?" Emma asked, her voice soft yet echoing with heavy questions. "Do you ever wonder if we had another family?" "I don't know, Lily replied, her brow furrowed. "But I feel like there's something we need to understand. Something missing." The twins exchanged glances, a silent agreement forming. They needed answers, no matter the cost. Back at Sarah's, her thumb hovered over the send button. The world around her faded away, leaving only the beating of her heart for company. She clicked it. Nothing happened for what felt like an eternity. Then, the screen lit up with a familiar ding-a response. The moment felt surreal as she stared at the words appearing. "We want to meet you." Time froze. Every missed heartbeat fell back into place, filling her with warmth and fear simultaneously. What would that first encounter look like? How would she face her little girls, now young women with their own lives? As anticipation clouded her thoughts, she could barely think straight. She felt the weight of lives that had been lived without her. But she also felt the pull of hope shining brightly ahead. What would she say to them? What would they think of her? With all of those questions swirling, one thing was sure: things would never be the same again. And as Sarah sat there, heart racing, she could only wonder the meeting that awaited held the potential for healing, or perhaps more heartache. Would they be able to forgive her absence? The next chapter of their lives was waiting to be written. Sarah stared at her phone, the screen flickering with the brief message that now held her future. "We want to meet you." It felt surreal, like a dream from which she might wake at any moment. The reality of it all rushed over her, a wave sweeping her off her feet. She couldn't help but wonder about the lives Emma and Lily had led in the time she had not been a part of them. What would they look like? Would they have her eyes? Or perhaps her laugh? A mix of joy and fear churned in her stomach. She took a deep breath, pushing thoughts of what if aside. Today was a stepping stone, not just to reunion but to healing. She scrolled through her contacts, hesitant yet resolute. The image of her girls filled her mind, spurring her on. With a shaky hand, she typed in the number of the diner where they'd agreed to meet. The following days dragged by, each one a reminder of the emptiness stretching between them, between the mother and her daughters. With each sunrise, she filled her hours with lists. What to wear, what to say, how to act. The weight of anticipation sat heavy on her shoulders. Doubts crept in. Would they feel betrayed, angry, or worse still, indifferent? Finally, the day of the meeting arrived. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, her heart racing as she dressed. She settled on a simple blue blouse. The color echoed the sky above, reminding her of brighter days. She practiced her smile, a mix of warmth and uncertainty. She had lost a decade, and there were no guarantees that love could bridge that gap. As she drove to the diner, memories flooded back. Each turn she took reminded her of places she used to visit, each corner echoing laughter that seemed like a lifetime ago. The smell of coffee wafted through the air as she parked, but it did little to ground her. A knot of anxiety twisted tightly in her chest as she stepped into the bustling diner. The bell above the door chiming as if heralding her arrival, her eyes scanned the room. Would they recognize her? Her heart skipped a beat when she saw them, sitting at a booth near the window, engrossed in conversation. Emma's hair fell softly around her shoulders, while Lily, with her infectious grin, leaned in, clearly excited about something. They looked so grown up, so sure of themselves. Sarah approached carefully, her footsteps slow, as if she was afraid to intrude on their moment. The closer she got, the more details splashed across her memories, their giggles, their timid toddler voices calling her mommy. She took a deep breath, willing her legs to move. Then, just as she was about to speak, Emma looked up and met her gaze. For a moment, time froze. Their eyes locked, and Sarah saw a flicker of recognition, followed by a wave of confusion wash over her daughter's face. "Mom?" Emma's voice trembled, filled with disbelief. Lily turned slightly, following her sister's line of sight. The realization crossed her features too, a mix of emotions playing on her face. Fear, curiosity, and perhaps a little bit of resentment. The air around them thickened with unspoken words. Before Sarah could collect her thoughts or backtrack, the emotions spilled out of her. "I'm so sorry for everything." The sisters exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Sarah felt her heart pounding, each beat echoing the weight of all the lost years. "I never stopped thinking about you, but would that be enough?" Would her words mean anything in the face of everything they had endured without her? Emma took a breath, her expression softening slightly, while Lily's eyes flashed with uncertainty. "Why did you leave us?" The question hung heavy in the air, and Sarah's heart dropped at the rawness of it. This was going to be harder than she thought. As the weight of the moment settled between them, she realized the truth. The path to healing was not going to be a straight line. It would twist and turn, filled with pain and hope. What if forgiveness was possible? Could they move forward together? Or would the past remain an insurmountable wall? Their stories were entangled now, but the real question remained: where would they go from here? Sarah's pulse raced in her ears as she waited for Emma's response. The question hung like a heavy cloud, shadowing the sunlight streaming through the diner window. Her daughters looked so different yet achingly familiar, and beneath their uncertainty, she saw echoes of the little girls who used to admire her lighter-than-air laughter. Taking a shaky breath, she prepared to confront the storm brewing within herself. "It wasn't a choice, not in the way you think," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. The words felt jagged, as though they might shatter the fragile moment. "What does that mean?" Emma's brow furrowed, the confusion stark against her youthful features. With a tremor in her hands, Sarah reached for the edge of the table. "I wanted to stay. I wanted to be your mom. But life took me down a path I never wanted to be on." Lily's eyes narrowed, folding her arms as if to protect herself from what she feared might come next. "Do you mean that you didn't want us?" Panic surged through Sarah. There could be no room for half-truths here. "No, I loved you both. I still love you. I always have." Desperation tightened her voice. "I thought about you every day. I was never gone by choice." The air crackled with tension, surrounded by the quiet bustle of the diner. A few nearby patrons glanced over, sensing the unease brewing in their corner, but no one dared interrupt. Emma fidgeted, her gaze darting between Sarah and Lily. The older sister was pulling herself together, crossing her legs under the table, her fortress against the unpredictable feelings swirling between them. "So what happened?" Emma finally asked, her tone softening just a fraction. Sarah shifted in her seat, gathering the threads of a painful but necessary story. It felt like tearing open an old wound. "There was an accident. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't find my way back to you." Lily's guard slipped just a bit. "But you still could have tried." Her voice wavered, the inherent hurt becoming clearer. The weight of their betrayal hung over Sarah's heart. "I thought about you every moment. I was fighting against something much bigger than me." My life became a whirlwind of confusion and fear. For a brief moment, all three sat in silence, the truth settling like dust around them. Sarah had hoped for understanding, perhaps even sympathy, but the chasm of years, lost moments, and unfulfilled promises loomed large. Emma's face contorted, a mix of pain and anger shadowing her features. You could have come back. We waited, I waited. I know. Sarah's voice cracked. I never stopped trying. I thought I would find my way back. I thought time would heal this. The sisters exchanged another glance, held by an unspoken conversation that seemed to bounce from fear to defiance. Sarah saw the conflict, the walls rising and falling around them. What she feared most was that this moment would unravel everything she longed for, the chance to reclaim her daughters and forge a new relationship. Time doesn't fix everything, Lily finally said, her eyes wet with unshed tears. You can't just come back and expect us to be okay. Each syllable hammered home the chasm they now faced. Despair mingled with a flicker of hope. I don't expect that. I just want a chance to show you how deeply I care. How much you both mean to me. Emma and Lily sat rigid. They were stuck at a crossroads of hurt and yearning, each sister gripped by their demons. The heated silence began choking Sarah, and the urge to flee clawed at her. I know I've made mistakes, but if you could just— We need time, Emma interrupted, her gaze resolute yet flickering with longing. Sarah nodded slowly, understanding the weight of those words. Would she be able to navigate the tangled path of forgiveness? Or would their hearts remain locked away, afraid to reach out? As she sat at the table, the gravity of the moment pressing around her, she couldn't shake the urgency of the reality unfolding before them. Would tomorrow bring a breakthrough or a final goodbye? The silence hung heavy in the air, punctuated only by the clinking of dishes and muted conversations from the diner. Sarah's heart raced as she contemplated the tumult in front of her. Emma, with her fiery defiance, and Lily, whose sorrow shimmered just beneath the surface, showed the tension of a lifetime lived without her. I just want a chance to be part of your lives again, Sarah managed, feeling small as her words tumbled out. I've missed so much. Lily shook her head, frustration etched into her delicate features. It's not that simple, Mom. How can we just pick up from where you left off? We don't even know you. Each word felt like a stone thrown against Sarah's already fragile heart. I understand. I know I have to earn your trust back. Emma finally let out a shaky breath, her shoulders softening slightly. But can you? The question crackled in the air like electricity. It was raw and real, the kind of question that demanded an answer Sarah still wasn't sure she could give. I don't know, but I want to try. I promise I will fight for this. For both of you. Emma looked down at her plate, her eyes shadowed with doubt. What does fighting even look like? More empty promises? Pierced Sarah. It looks like showing up every day. Being there whenever you need me. That's what I want more than anything. Lily's rigid stance relaxed slightly as she considered Sarah's words. It's all just hard to believe after everything. Trust is hard, Emma added. How do we know you want to leave again? Just like before? The questions turned in Sarah's mind, twisting tighter. I don't blame you for feeling that way. I wish I could take back every moment I lost. But I can't. I'm here now and I'll do whatever it takes. Aren't you tired of the fight? Lily challenged, her voice almost barely above a whisper now. With a tremor in her voice, Sarah replied, No, I'm not tired. It's the hope that keeps me going. Hope that one day we'll find a way back to each other. That things can be different as uncertainty lingered. Sarah glanced around, as if seeking answers from the cheerful decor or the mismatched tableware illustrating the happiness of other families. She wished to conjure something extraordinary, a bond that would surge up and break the barriers of time. How do we start? Emma's gaze explored Sarah's face, searching for reassurance. Maybe we could spend more time together? Sarah suggested, her heart racing at the thought. I could take you both to the park, or we could just talk. Anything, really. Lily exchanged a cautious glance with Emma, a flicker of curiosity breaking through their carefully erected gates. Can you handle being around us? I want to, Sarah replied, determination shining through her voice. I know it might take time to trust me again, but I won't back down. A long pause ensued, heavy with the weight of their shared history. The tension shifted slightly, a cautious opening where hope began to seep in. Just then, the door swung open, allowing a gust of wind into the warm diner, momentarily catching their attention. A brisk figure entered, a man with a familiar air, glancing around the room like he was searching for someone. Could that be? Sarah's heart skipped a beat, the world around her fading into the background as she stood transfixed by the sight of him. Emma and Lily's eyes followed Sarah's, and they shared a glance filled with anticipation and a tinge of apprehension. What happens now? Lily whispered, her voice a thread of connection to the moment teetering on chaos. Sarah took a step forward, uncertain of what was about to unfold. Would this man hold answers they were all seeking, or would it only complicate the fragile steps she was trying to take? The thread of their shared lives hung in the balance, ready to unravel or weave a stronger bond. What could possibly come next? The man stepped further into the diner, casting shadows across the sunlit floor. His eyes were searching, scanning the room, but stopped when they locked onto Sarah. For a moment, time seemed to stall as recognition washed over both their faces. David? Sarah breathed, the name escaping her lips in disbelief. Emma and Lily exchanged puzzled glances, eyebrows knitted together. This was a man from Sarah's past, one she thought she'd never see again. Sarah? David's voice held an unexpected warmth, mixed with confusion. It was like finding a missing piece of a long-buried puzzle. The diner gradually hushed, diners' heads turning to watch the reunion unfold. Sarah felt the weight of Emma and Lily's eyes on her, questioning her connection to him. She hesitated, taking a deep breath. Is it really you? David stepped closer, his expression shifting from confusion to cautious hope. Yes, it's me, she replied, feeling a mixture of joy and fear. I never imagined, but her words trailed off, lost in the rush of emotions tumbling within her. What's going on here? Emma finally spoke, her tone sharper, trying to reclaim some control over a situation that felt overwhelming. David turned his attention to the girls, clearly sensing the tension. Listen, I didn't mean to interrupt. I heard you were back in town, Sarah, and I wanted to see you. Back in town? You're here to see her? Lily challenged. Can you just leave us alone? Lily, wait. Sarah interjected softly, the words barely there. I know this looks strange, but please, just give me a moment to explain. Lily crossed her arms and dropped her gaze, frustration clawing at her. David took slow steps closer, trying to bridge the gap. I understand this might be awkward, but you need to know I have always cared about you and the girls. I've missed you. The tension in the air amplified, heavy and thick. Missed her? Emma echoed angrily. You're all just words. What does that even mean after so many years? Emma, Sarah pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. Let me handle this. I need to hear what he has to say. The diner felt like it was closing in around them, the clinking of forks and the murmurs fading into an ominous silence. Please, both of you, David continued, his voice steady. I just want to be honest. I have information that could change everything for you all, something that might help you understand things better. Like what? Emma shot back, her courage igniting. Another reason for us to trust you? I don't know how much more of this I can take. Sarah felt her heart race. Would David really have something that could bridge between their past and present? All their shattered connections hung in the balance, poised on the edge of this revelation. I didn't come here just to dredge up old memories, David implored, looking at each of them earnestly. I came because I know what happened, the reasons why you left and why you were kept away. The air thickened again, the weight of his confession hanging over them like a storm cloud. The nagging questions, what was he getting at? Just tell us, please, Lily blurted out, feeling the urgency, the need for clarity in this whirlwind of emotions. Okay, David said, his eyes flickering with concern and hope. But it's not an easy story, and it involves more than just us. As the words hung in the air, Sarah could sense panic washing over Emma, the budding trust visibly wavering. Would this truly be a new beginning, or would it lead them down an even darker path? Uncertainty loomed large over the small diner, And as David prepared to share his truth, Sarah felt the fragile bond they were forging could shatter or strengthen depending on what he revealed next. What could possibly be so significant that it would change everything? David took a deep breath, steadying himself as if preparing to dive into the depths. It seemed like the whole diner was holding its breath along with him. The silence felt loud, echoing all the fears and memories long buried. Sarah's heart raced, each beat thudding with uncertainty. She glanced at Emma and Lily, feeling the weight of their expectations resting on her shoulders. "I know about Emily," he began carefully, his voice low. The name sent a shockwave through Sarah. Emily was their daughter, the baby she had lost 10 years ago. How could he possibly know? Her mind reeling, she struggled to maintain her composure. David's eyes softened. "I don't expect you to understand yet, but the truth is she's alive." The world around them seemed to tilt. Emma gasped, pressing her hands to her mouth, while Lily's eyes widened in shock. Sarah felt her catch her breath, the words reverberating through her mind like echoes in a vast canyon. She didn't want to believe him. Could she dare to hope? Alive? Emma's voice broke the spell, her temper flaring. "What kind of sick joke is this? Did you come here just to mess with us?" "No, I swear," David said quickly, hands raised in surrender. "This isn't a joke. I found out years later after you left. I tried to find you, Sarah, but it was like hitting a brick wall. Why didn't you come sooner?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Anger spiked with the dread of what might have been. "I was afraid of opening old wounds. But this is too important. I didn't know how else to reach you." Sarah felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, anger mixing with a flicker of hope. "How do you know? After everything happened, I didn't give up. I searched for answers. I couldn't understand how she could be gone. And then I stumbled upon some papers. They were hidden away, but they told a different story. She was placed in a safe family. Adopted. Adopted?" Lily blurted, her voice filled with disbelief. "It's true," David said. "I have contact information. I thought it was too late." But now he faltered, emotions washing over him. "Why should we believe you?" Emma folded her arms, protective and resolute. "Because you deserve to know the truth," David replied earnestly, locking eyes with Sarah. "If she is still out there, you need to find her. You need to have this chance." The room felt charged with emotion. For a brief moment, Sarah saw a flicker of hope in Emma's eyes. Lily stared at David, torn between fear and curiosity. "Can you bring us to her?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, shaken by the cascade of feelings. David nodded slowly. "I can help, but it won't be easy. There's a lot that's happened. You deserve to know everything, not just the good parts." Silence enveloped them, charged with potential and unspoken fears. The weight of the moment was almost too much to bear. Just when Sarah thought she could breathe, fear of the twist ahead hit her like a freight train. What had they embarked upon? Was this journey for answers or more heartbreak? Sarah looked at her daughters, struggling to read their faces, each of them carrying the weight of their past in different ways. As the clinking of plates and chatter of the diner faded to a distant hum, one thought loomed above everything. Was she ready to face the truth, no matter how painful it may be, when it could lead her to the child she thought was lost forever? Sarah looked at David, searching his eyes for any hint of deceit, but all she found was sincerity mixed with regret. It was hard to reconcile the years of pain with the possibility of a new beginning. She opened her mouth to speak, but words failed her, the enormity of the situation locking up her throat. Can we just take a moment?" Lily's voice cut through the silence, breaking the spell. "This is a lot to process." David nodded, squeezing the edge of the table as if anchoring himself. "Of course. Take your time." Emma leaned back in her chair, her expression a mix of disbelief and anger. "You mean to tell us that all this time, Emily was out there, and you just decided to drop this bombshell on us now?" "Why? I didn't know how much you needed to hear it," David responded, swallowing hard. "I thought you were moving on, building a life without her. I didn't want to disrupt that." "Disrupt?" Emma shot back, her voice rising. You think not telling us she was alive is less disruptive? Sarah stood, cutting through the tension. She felt an intense urge to protect her daughters, to shield them from the storm of emotions swirling around them. This isn't easy for anyone. We all just need to breathe. David's gaze moved from Emma to Sarah. I know this is hard. I wish I had found a better way to tell you. But now that you know, you have a chance. Please let us just explore it further. Reach out to her family. Gather more information. What if they don't want us involved? Sarah whispered, not fully able to comprehend the implications of what was being proposed. There's always a chance, David replied gently. But you need to know. She deserves to know about you, about her family. As uncertainty washed over Sarah, she couldn't shake the haunting thought of what could have happened to Emily. Did she grow up happy? Did she ever dream of the mother who missed her? And what about her daughters? How would they handle meeting their sister? We can't just dive in without thinking about how this affects everyone. Emma stated, her bravado wavering slightly now. Then let us think together, David suggested. We can meet her family, ask them about her life. We can approach this delicately. Sarah felt the shift inside her. There was a spark of courage blooming. Okay, she said, her voice steadier now. Let us do it. Let us find her. Emma's face softened. This is going to change everything, you know that, right? Yes? Sarah breathed, a mix of excitement and fear flooding her veins. But maybe it's time for change. Tension eased briefly, but it was still there, hanging like an uninvited guest. The idea of reaching out both terrified and intrigued her. How do we start? Lily asked, looking from her mom to David, her innocence palpable. David smiled subtly, the warmth returning to his expression. I have contact details. I can help guide you through it all. What if they don't want to meet? Emma's skepticism remained, but it was softened by curiosity. Then we'll figure it out. Sarah's voice rose, steadied with newfound determination. We've come this far. Whatever it takes. But as she spoke, shadows of doubt lingered in the corners of her mind. What kind of family had Emily become a part of? Would they accept Sarah and her daughters? Or would they see them as intruders, robbing Emily of the life she had built? The diner's hum expanded again, returning like a distant rumble, as the reality of their journey sank in. Just promise me one thing, Sarah said, her heart pounding. Whatever happens, we do this together. Together? Emma and Lily echoed, voices intertwined as they all shared a collective breath. But deep inside, uncertainty lingered, whispering a question that echoed louder with each passing moment. Were they truly ready to uncover not just the truth about Emily, but about themselves as well? The diner felt smaller somehow, the weight of the news pressing down on them. Sarah felt the tension in the air, a fragile string that could snap with just a word. It was haunting to think about Emily, to wonder what her life had been like all these years. Would she be angry? Would she even want to know them? All right. Let us get serious, Emma said, twisting a napkin in her hands. What if this goes south? What if we lose more than we gain? Sarah looked at her daughter, sensing a deep vulnerability behind her fierce words. I know it's scary, she replied softly, but we have to try. We can't keep living in the shadows of what could have been. Lily chimed in, her small voice breaking through the tension again. What if she is super cool? What if we end up being best friends? A hint of optimism sparkled in her eyes, the innocence of youth shining through in the darkness around them. Or what if she doesn't want us in her life? Emma countered, her brow furrowed with worry. David took a deep breath, sensing the urgency in the room. We have to approach this carefully. We start with her family and see what they know. They may have memories or stories that could help us understand who Emily has become. Okay, Emma conceded, her tone softening. But let us be prepared for anything, yeah? We can't dream this up into something it might not be. Sarah nodded, appreciating Emma's caution, even as the thrill of possible reunion thrummed through her veins like a live wire. Right? We'll approach it delicately. As they spoke, David retrieved his phone and scrolled through his contacts. He finally looked up, a keen seriousness in his eyes. Here's the thing. I've been in touch with Emily's adoptive family. They agreed to meet, but he hesitated, gauging their reactions. They might have strong feelings about this. Strong feelings? Emma repeated, her expression tightening. What does that mean? It means they love her. They've raised her. They might feel threatened by our interest. His voice was steady but strained. Because we're her real family, Sarah whispered, the words feeling both right and wrong. It stung to think of intruding into Emily's world, as if she were a stranger in a family that was not her own. A small silence settled between them, thick with what-ifs and uncertainties. David broke it with a gentle, look, I think the best approach is kindness. We share our story, no expectations. Just let them know we want Emily to be happy. Sounds good, Sarah agreed, though her heart raced. Whatever happens, she deserves to know we cared. Lily's small hand slipped into Sarah's. A grounding connection. An anchor amid the storm of feelings. Can we do it tomorrow? She asked, hopeful. Sarah exchanged looks with Emma and David. The weight of the moment pressed down on them. Tomorrow felt like slipping into an unknown tide. But they all nodded. A pact made silently in the space between breaths. Tomorrow, Sarah echoed, her voice steadier than she felt as they stood to leave. An unsettling giddiness swept through Sarah. Tomorrow would change everything. When they walked outside, the night air was crisp, like a promise. For the first time, Sarah recognized a strange excitement battling against her fear. The truth was finally within reach. Yet as she stared up at the star-speckled sky, she couldn't shake the idea of what lay ahead. Would Emily embrace them, or would she be just another lost dream? With that unsettling thought, Sarah turned to her daughters, determination settling in her heart. Were they ready to dive into this uncharted territory together? Only time would tell. The next day dawned bright, an inviting canvas of sunlight spilling over the Midwestern town. Sarah took a moment to breathe deeply, her nerves battling with an optimistic flutter in her chest. Today, she would take a monumental step toward bridging the chasm that had separated her from her daughters and her lost child. She dressed carefully, opting for a simple floral dress reminiscent of the summer days spent picking daisies with Emma and Lily. As she brushed her hair, she paused to glance in the mirror. There were bags under her eyes, remnants of sleepless nights filled with endless what-ifs and hopes. But she reminded herself that today sparked a chance for healing, a new beginning for all of them. Her phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a message from David confirming the time and place for their meeting with Emily's adoptive family. A swirl of anticipation and dread washed over her as she gathered Emma and Lily for one last huddle before they left. The bond they shared felt fragile yet fortified by the journey they'd embarked upon together. Remember, Sarah said, her heart pounding within her chest, no matter what happens today, we're in this together. Let us be honest and hold on to hope. Yeah, Emma said, her voice wavering but determined. And if they're any bit like you, Mom, I think they'll be okay with us. Lily squeezed her mother's hand. A small gesture, but one filled with immense love and faith. And what if they're not? What if it's tough? We'll figure it out, Sarah reassured her. We have to believe that love can mend what's been broken. As they drove to the park where they were set to meet, the anticipation thickened in the car. Sarah's thoughts raced, imagining every possible outcome. What would they say about Emily? How would the adoptive family react to her being back in the picture? A kaleidoscope of worries played out in her mind, but she promised herself to stay open-hearted. Arriving at the park, they spotted a picnic area surrounded by trees. Sunlight dappled across a long table set beneath a canopy. At one end, a family sat quietly, visible nerves weaving between them. The mother, a gentle-looking woman with kind eyes, stood when she noticed Sarah approaching. Her expression held a mixture of warmth and guardedness, a silent testament to the complexities of their entangled lives. "Hello," Sarah said, her voice steady but laden with emotion. "I'm Sarah, Emily's mother." The woman nodded slowly, clearly weighing what to say next. "I'm Lisa, Emily's adoptive mother." Her gaze softened but remained cautious. "We're glad you reached out." With shaky breaths, Sarah gestured toward her daughters. "These are my girls, Emma and Lily. We've been waiting for this moment for so long. Thank you for coming." Lisa replied, glancing back at the man beside her, who wore a supportive smile. We wanted to know what you wanted for Emily. As the conversation unfolded, tears pooled in Sarah's eyes. They shared stories, struggles, and heartaches, every fragment slowly, but surely knitting their past and present together. Emily is bright and curious, Lisa shared, a spark lighting her voice. She talks about her lost family sometimes. Perhaps she felt an empty space. We've always encouraged her to explore where she came from. Did she ever mention me? Sarah couldn't contain her longing any longer. Lisa nodded. A few times. She wanted to know what happened after she was born. And we always promised her that the truth mattered. The words hung heavy in the air. Sarah felt the emotions swell within her, each heartbeat echoing the connection of shared love for Emily as they spoke. A figure approached from the direction of the park path, a girl with familiar dark hair and an undeniable spark in her eyes. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Was this Emily? When their eyes locked, the world around them faded. In that moment, it felt as if the years compressed, collapsing the anxiety and uncertainty that had haunted Sarah for a decade. Emily was here. The girl hesitated, her expression shifting through confusion, curiosity, and a flicker of hope. The air was charged with an array of emotions, each one vying for attention, but what mattered most was how they connected. Are you my mom? Emily finally asked, her voice trembling as if testing the waters of truth. Yes, Sarah replied, feeling tears spill down her cheeks. I'm so sorry for everything, but I've always loved you, and I've missed you every day. Hesitantly, Emily stepped forward, the weight of their shared history lingering in the air, and in an instant, Sarah was enveloped by her warmth. It was a feeling that washed away years of pain. Time stood still, each heartbeat echoing the start of not just healing but a new family, no matter how complicated it might be. Emma and Lily shared a glance, witnessing the beautiful connection that had finally been rekindled. Uncertainty still loomed, but love had begun to stitch together the frayed edges of their lives, reminding them that healing starts with hope. As they stood together, an unfamiliar yet profound sense of belonging filled the cracks left by years of absence. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but this moment, grounded in love, lifted them towards a future they could now share. Let us get to know each other, Emily said shyly, a timid smile breaking across her face. And with that, the barriers began to dissolve, the laughter slowly emerging between them, promising a healing journey grounded in love, understanding, and hope. It was the beginning of everything. Now, before you go, I need you to do something important. You need to subscribe now to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that button immediately. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really helps get these stories out. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible reunion. I want to know how you felt. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You are part of something special. Only true fans understand how much your support matters. Let's keep this story going.